Our conversation this hour is around AI. Hopefully not the kind that can, maybe hopefully the kind that can build you an airport. Safe and ethical AI, that's our conversation this morning. And the fact that we have been discussing how to use AI for good is well, and it's all right. But we are becoming a hub for AI, whether it is data centers, whether it is training of the AI, whether it is building AI, all of that. We'll be discussing what exactly this looks like with Laolu Akindele. He is a tech consultant, and we'll be figuring out, World AI Day was a week ago. What is safe and ethical AI? Where do we fall in that ecosystem? How do we benefit from this? And again, without being just the cogs in the wheels that are making things turn, but extracting no real value from it. Good morning, Laolu.
Good morning.
Good to have you in studio.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with our quote of the day. We'll share it with you. Phalaris will share it with you. You can say if you agree with the quote, disagree, and if it speaks to you. Why are you laughing already?
I'm waiting to hear what the quote is.
Okay, that's a nice one.
It's actually a very nice quote. It's a Swahili proverb, and it reads, "The one who has crossed the river does not laugh at the one being swept away by it." Yeah. How does that speak to you? The one who has crossed the river?
I kind of agree. Because when you're crossing the river, you sort of understand what it takes to actually cross that river. So when you see someone that is being carried away by it, you can really understand why. Yeah. So basically means for me that when you've done something or you've actually achieved something and someone is trying to, you can almost contextualize it and put yourself in their shoes to really appreciate what it took to do that and the efforts they've put in to actually try to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
World AI Day was the other week. What was this year's theme?
So the year theme was largely around having a safe AI for the world. And when I go into sort of what the details are, I think it's more around ensuring that we have ethical and safe AI for every one of us, and ensuring that we use AI in a responsible manner.
Okay.
And we also look at how we can use AI to derive value. Yeah.
Okay. This news broke yesterday, and I'll just dive right in with it. A headline here from CNN. An OpenAI test model escaped and broke into a real company's server. OpenAI says some of its experimental AI models left a test environment with no human direction and hacked their way into a different company's real production systems while trying to cheat on a cybersecurity test. This is AI moving without direction, being agentic in ways that we have not seen before, and trying to cheat, which is also, again, very human. How close are we to the robots taking over? Let me start from...
What does that mean? First, what does that story mean?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I don't understand. Like, an AI broke into... What?
Into a real
robot?
company's servers. Okay, let's start from
It
there.
escaped.
Let's start from
AI
there.
escaped and went into somebody's server.
Yeah.
What
It
escaped?
went rogue.
What, where?
And this is not the first time we are hearing of AI going rogue.
Yeah.
It's early this year or last year we had, X's AI Grok that went rogue again.
Yes.
Racial slurs and a lot of things that, again, we're wondering where are the controls, and I think that's where Mariam is going with this.
Okay, so let me explain, maybe for the benefit of the audience, just to explain the journey we've taken in terms of AI. So we've moved from your typical standard AI where you've got AI sharing recommendations with you. So if some of you use streaming services, you watch a movie, it basically recommends another movie based on your watch patterns. To generative AI, where we then have AI really generating, whether it's text, images, or video, to what we call agentic AI. And that's the latest stage we're in today. So agentic AI is more of an AI that can actually do stuff. So what that means is it can reason, it can also act based on what you tell it to do. So you give it an objective and it figures out how to actually achieve that objective. When you then bring that into what we're saying now, this is an example of an agentic AI that has been asked to do stuff without guardrails. So when you hear they're doing it in the test environment, it's almost like saying what is possible with the new models. those models have advanced at such a rapid rate that the governance theme is one we cannot ignore, and safety and security then becomes something that we need to think about. So what they were doing was more of saying what is possible with this new model that we've developed, and that's why that theme of how do we ensure that things are done safely in a secure manner, properly safeguarded, then becomes more important. So it was just more of testing what is possible. But then that basically tells us it's moving rapidly. It's moving in a manner that, if not well controlled, can become a big concern. Yeah.
So in that particular story,
Yeah.
had the AI been given the objective, try and break into this, and it succeeded
Yeah.
doing so?
Yeah.
So this is like a gloating thing of our AI.
Yeah, it can do it.
Can actually
anything.
do it.
Yeah.
Put all your guardrails.
Yeah.
It'll work its way around how to climb over your fence and come over and do it.
So they did it in an environment where, for the initial environment, it was more of let's see what is possible with minimum guardrails. Let's just see what is possible. So that then helps them properly design the guardrails and security controls that need to be put in place. Yeah.
And then when it gets out of the control zone, it means that now it starts thinking beyond what it's been told to do.
Ideally, it will follow that objective
Yeah.
and try to achieve that objective using, I think one of the things with Agentic AI is it can use tools. So it can actually connect to another system or connect to an API or use data or whatever information is available to get things done. So that's typically how it would work. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we give me another example of agentic AI being given a task and how it would work, and the guardrails that would be created to make sure that it has agency but not autonomy? I think that's
Yeah.
right. Let me call it agency but not autonomy. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. So there's a concept we call human in the loop. Before I actually give you an example, think about it. And so if I'm running an organization today, and I employ an intern, and I give an intern super user rights to my system, even you would question that. So it's the same way when you're actually deploying an agent, you have to say, what are the controls that I want to put in place? And when you look at high-risk systems or systems that actually serve major purposes, you shouldn't actually allow an AI have full autonomy. I'll give you a simple example that you can actually use. So I've got, so you wanted to travel. You then decided, I'm going to cancel this flight and I want a refund from the airline. You can actually build an agent that goes into your emails to check the booking details. It goes to the website and actually follows through to say, okay, let me put in the details of this, the reservation, moves from there to cancel the booking and actually ask for a refund. But one of the things you can do is you can say, okay, before you go all the way, maybe there's a point in here where I actually want to do a check. Yeah.
Let me confirm.
Yeah, but if you allow it to do everything, even to, so like I want to do a trip and I basically say, you know what, book my trip and book accommodation based on defined parameters, it will do it for you.
My budget is this, my travel dates are that.
Exactly.
And my budget is this, my travel, my destination.
Yeah.
Those are like parameters.
Yeah.
And then just
So-
give it agency.
Exactly. Yeah.
What about things like, I'm just thinking about, say, when you're applying for a loan, for example, and if that is subjected to agentic AI, where then the AI determines whether I qualify for the loan. If you think about insurance pricing, for example, where does AI factor in there? Because I see a situation where there could be bias that is not subjected to human intervention.
It's a good one, and I'm smiling because it's a conversation we've been having recently. We build agentic solutions, and that is very critical. So if you even look at the recent acts, there are systems we call high risk. This falls in the high risk category. What that means is if I'm going to build an AI solution or an agent that is going to make a decision, I've got to be very careful. There's a big word which we call accountability.
Yes.
You can't say the agent did this. Your system must be auditable and there must be explainability. So what that means is, I'm a bank, I've allowed an agent actually decide whether to grant you a loan or not. a customer can actually walk to the bank and say, I want to understand the decisions you made, and the bank must be able to explain it and not say, oh, our AI did this. So what that means then is, as you're building those systems, you must ensure that those roles are properly defined, and there must be a point where you're saying, okay, for simple tasks, am I happy for my agent to do it end to end? Or for things that are impacting individuals, at what point do I then have the human in the loop to ensure that things are properly checked before we close the loop? Yeah.
Okay. That part about not being able to throw the buck to the AI. AI can't take responsibility for anything, then means who does take responsibility for things, right? So then it takes me back to like some basics of what is considered ethical AI, what is considered safe AI, so that then I know who to come and start asking questions.
Okay, so really important topic, and I'm glad that it's something you're discussing today, because the number of people hear AI and the next thing is, oh, we want to have a system, and they just move forward without having the foundations. Responsible AI, basically, the guidelines are, how do we ensure that AI is deployed or built in a manner that safeguards a lot of things? So with talk about fairness, how do I ensure that I'm not discriminated against? How do you build that into it? We talk about things like data security. How is my data secure? Can this model actually be hacked? You talk about things like privacy. So how am I ensuring that you guys are not using my data for unintended reasons? We also talk about explainability. Can you actually explain what that model did? And accountability. So those are some of the key principles that we always highlight when you talk about responsible AI. What that means is, if today Bank A says, I'm building a model and this model is going to do certain things, they are responsible for what the model has done. So I can't say, oh, this model discriminated, it was AI. So accountability sits with the person that actually deployed the model. But then some of the...
Deployed here, meaning because... just for non-techies, deployed meaning who exactly in that chain of command?
So let me give an example. So we have simple systems that we use. If somebody has built a solution and that solution is AI powered, the person that built the solution is responsible. So in a bank, for example, even if a bank worked with a vendor, the bank is responsible for this, and the bank has to own it and own the decisions made by the tool. So I'm going to go to the person that owns the application, and I need to hold them accountable. I think one of the things we always say they need to do is, and you'll probably see it sometimes where you'll say, oh, this was AI generated or AI made this decision. It's important to include the disclaimer. But then as users of AI systems and AI tools, one of the key things you must do is to also apply your judgments. It will give you recommendations, but don't take everything at face value.
Okay.
You've mentioned, sorry, Mark. Okay. You've mentioned several examples, and you're saying banks. To what extent have institutions in Kenya deployed AI for their operations? Just give us examples without necessarily giving us specifics.
Okay, great, thanks. So there was a survey we ran recently, and so PwC ran a survey, and it was largely across Africa, looking at AI performance. And one of the key things we picked was across organizations, we've got 84% of organizations across Africa that are experimenting with AI. So you're seeing people deploying chatbots, people are using it to summarize data, people are using it for research, but few people are actually moving from pilots to actually building solutions that are transformative in nature for various reasons. So I would say I'm seeing a lot of experimentation and a lot of pilots, but I've not seen a lot of people move beyond pilots to systems that can drive real outcomes or really transform the business. A few people are getting there, but it's still a journey.
That's including banks.
Yeah.
So practically, when we see some of these bots, and some of these chatbots, so you go into something, or even Kerry has one that talks to us. That's AI, for example, right?
Yes.
Kina Safaricom and others, go and even Kenya Power, go and chat to our agent. That's basically AI that's been programmed and given This question comes, answer this way. Right? Okay. Is it likely that we could get to a level where AI is used to, or maybe have we gotten there where AI is used to evaluate your suitability for a loan?
We're there.
We're there already.
We're there. The question is it being deployed in country? I know globally a number of people are already getting to that point to sort of streamline some of those processes. So what you do, and let's think about it differently. Imagine you're working with somebody that is really intelligent and is a loan officer. One of the beauties of AI is it's been fed so much data. So it's got more data than any one of us has, and it can quickly interpret and make decisions using that data in microseconds. So what you then need to do is explain your business processes, explain what you do. So if I'm a senior loan approval, this is what I do. This is what I expect you to do. So all those things can be built into agentic solutions today.
All right. Who does the explaining? And how?
Okay.
Like, do they have a meeting where this thing is recording and it's listening in? Or is it somebody typing in? They could misspell.
or meet a zero.
Yeah, or meet a zero.
Yeah.
That's why you must test things properly.
Or add a zero.
Or add a zero.
So the way it would typically work is think about the way you have a worker and you train them on my business rules, and you tell them if you're evaluating a customer or you want to give a customer a loan, these are the things you must look at. All those rules will be built into the solution. So at the point of building the solution, you actually define all those rules. I don't want to go technical, but there's a way you define all those rules so that the agent understands what it needs to do at every point in time.
Okay. Where would the safety concern arise here in that process? Or ethics?
So my concern would be, is someone that should be allowed to get a loan is deprived the opportunity. Because for you as an organization, you can get into a lot of trouble if you actually allow that agent to do that end to end. You could have issues around data leakage or security. So imagine you're using that tool and the next thing, you realize that your information is all over the place. One of the things also with models is the way these models were built was they fed a lot of data into them to train them. Are you using my data, my personal data, to actually train your models? It's a big concern. So that's something that organizations need to watch out for, even when you're actually using all these tools or deploying these tools within your environment.
Should they?
Should they?
Should they use my data? I mean, look, they have my data anyway. And it's me who, they are training this AI in a way that it should be able to evaluate me when I come.
Okay.
And surely they should give it my data.
Not really.
Okay, what should
Remember, if I want to evaluate you today, there are lots of things I look at. So you could actually anonymize a lot of data. But then there are different rules. So I'm saying, okay, Eric is of this age, this is demographics, this is his background and all those things. You can always build a persona, and that then is used to decide what the system does.
Okay. Sorry, fella, I know you want to come in. I just want to throw in the issue of ethics.
Okay.
The ethics that is fed into the AI is dependent on the ethics of the people feeding it.
Yes.
Right? If we are unethical, if this bank usually does not give loans to this kind of people, then
That's exactly it.
it will just imply to the AI that
True.
this person will not get.
Even basic biases, you write them in without knowing. For example, if AI is trained on data that is external, if it's banking data for loan applications, you're working with maybe a place where people are much more banked than here, right? Here, M-Pesa is king, right? And it's like, okay, cool. This data knows banking histories, how to go through banking histories, assess, figure out who's suitable for a loan, what type of loan, payment periods, interest rates, data, etc. You come here, deploy the same thing. You haven't checked my M-Pesa. I maybe transact 50K a day.
Correct.
But because my bank is silent, there's nothing happening there transaction-wise. It's like, sorry, Gali, you really just don't qualify
You
for
just don't qualify
300,000. That's kind of crazy to think that we could give you that kind of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are
No, valid concern,
yeah.
because at the end of the day, remember, it's just a replica of what the bank is already doing. Yeah. So, and I think that's why when you look at the new act, there are also comments around how we basically deploy these things in a responsible manner. There are comments around being able to actually audit how these tools work. And I guess those are some of the things that are being put in place to actually strengthen this. But if you are deploying the tool as an organization, you really need to think through it. We're starting to see even some global organizations now have chief ethics officer, AI ethics officer, just to manage some of these risks. So you will not be able to say, I did not know. So, we talk a lot about AI and, okay, what's going to happen to jobs? But there are new roles that are coming up. AI ethics officer is a new role that is coming up. You've got chief ethics officers that are responsible for ensuring that these tools are built properly.
Then, sorry, Fela.
Break time.
Yeah, break time. Let's take a short break. Whew. So many questions around safe and ethical AI. We'll be right back after this. We see your questions coming and we will be posing them to Laolu in just a minute.
Fixers have comments just before, Fela, you come with your question. Let's just sample some of what they're saying. Minchora says, AI can sometimes seem biased. Seems one can practice witchcraft online, but trying to do so in a settlement makes headlines and draws a lot of attention from bots and the media.
Witchcraft is wild, guys.
X Minor says, use of AI in Kenya, Eva Minor, should have been authorized by Kenyans through parliament or referendum. AI is colonization. Benjamin Mukubi, an airline using AI to issue boarding passes, once treated me as being in Kinshasa while I was in Kenya. I almost missed my flight at JKIA.
Interesting.
Steve Okech, listening to the capabilities of AI is like watching a horror movie. Never been this worried. The banks are no longer safe. Jenga says, wapatia your flowers. The way you guys spread the net wider on every conversation leaves me mesmerized. Maybe my scope is narrow, but kufanya mpaka real expert anasema I'm smiling means a lot. Steve continues, AI that can break out of its environment. How difficult can it be for it to break into a bank's database? And we also say at some point then we'll start saying, Njenga Jogu says, your AI, one from CNN, ilienda kufanya errands. Very soon utasikia AI John Kiriamete has done the thing. Robbed the bank. As a computer science student, Rank Rush says, is learning AI. I'm curious, if you could redesign the AI curriculum for universities in Kenya from scratch, what would you remove? What would you add and why? And Steve is back with, time to share my thoughts on TV because AI will cover the time spent here.
You can take, you can have a slow morning. AI
is doing things in the background for you.
Oh, we are back in conversation with tech consultant Laolu Akindele, just talking about safe and ethical AI. And we were having a conversation off air on where the burden of responsibility lies when it comes to ethical use of AI. So there's the technology itself, like we've witnessed this one that went rogue, the other one that escaped, went to do a few errands, and then there's the developer and the user. How does that framework look like? And second to that is, are the ethics developing fast? I mean, is the technology developing faster than the ethics are?
Okay, so let me pick it from a user perspective. If I'm a user using an AI tool to do my research or to do an analysis, I cannot basically just take that information without verifying or at least cross-checking that the output I'm getting is factual. So if you work in an organization and you pull the outputs from AI and you submit it to your boss or you submit it to your lecturer or whatever, you will be held accountable. So you cannot delegate that judgment. The judgment call is yours as an individual. I think when we look at ethics and we look at where we're in terms of the advancement of AI, to be honest, the technology is moving at such a rapid pace. I would say The conversation around ethics, there are quite a lot of frameworks that are being put in place to ensure that this is well managed. We have an EU AI Act, which the Kenya one mirrors closely. And those are things that a number of countries and organizations are now putting in place just to ensure that you use AI in an ethical manner. So I would say it's keeping pace, but then the rate at which AI is advancing means I can't just have a fixed bill. I can't have a bill that I'm saying I'm revisiting every 3 years. It's more of how have I designed it in a way that it's very flexible and adaptable to what is happening. And that's something that we need to think about when we think about the bill that we have currently for AI.
Oh, I like that. And you're right, it does not, even 3 years is a lot, to be fair. With it would be every 6 months we're back in Parliament to legislate something new. And I think the real challenge is now writing something that is flexible. And we do like to mirror the EU when it comes to data privacy, now when it comes to AI as well, and building those guardrails. But the question around what needs to be learned as well when it comes to AI, because I think that was a really good question from the fixer who's a student. And they were saying, Rankash O2X, as a computer science student learning AI, I'm curious, if you could redesign the AI curriculum for universities in Kenya from scratch, what would you remove, what would you add, and why?
Okay. No, I think that's great. If I look at what people are being taught and where we are today, I'll probably say we need to move to obviously understanding the basics. So if I'm a computer science student, what exactly is AI? Understanding what generative AI is and also what agentic AI is. But then you've got to move beyond that to then see what are the use cases. How does it add value? Because at the end of the day, that's the main thing everybody's looking at. So is it an efficiency improvement or whatever? And you then have to move into how do I govern this properly? So there've got to be conversations around governance, around responsible use of AI, around the relevant use cases, and then AI literacy, just in terms of understanding the relevant concepts, and then moving to how you then are able to deploy and build AI solutions that add value. Most likely, AI, when I think value in the African context, I'm thinking, are we using AI to solve African problems? Because our problems are unique to us, and nobody's going to come and fix it for us. And then also move into things like how you then use some of the available innovation resources. So one of the key things that has come up in the bill is innovation through sandboxes, where you can then try things out and experiment. So those are things we need to incorporate into what people are learning today.
Okay. Question on AI and jobs. Is AI ethical if it's taking away jobs?
Is it taking jobs?
You tell me.
For example,
Or
whose job?
whose jobs are being taken, or what professions are maybe likely to change in the foreseeable future, courtesy of AI?
You've made it so nice and clean. Just likely to change.
So this is a tricky
Taking job. I'm going taking job.
one. So I'm going to take you a bit way back. There was a time we had things called typewriters, and a few people may not know what they are. And typists were kings. Anything you want to do, you have to go to a typewriter to sort you out.
They had attitude.
They were kings, I'm telling you. And then we moved to something
So I
called...
could do like,
It was a skill.
I don't know why I'm chewing, but it seemed like they would
It's
chew
a
while
thing.
typing.
Yeah, and something called computers came, and everybody was like, "Oh, I'm going to lose my job," and the likes. And the amount of jobs computers actually created is way more than you could have fathomed back then. So if I look at AI, I think we're seeing people using it to drive efficiencies. If you are a worker or a student or you run an organization, I think what I'll say to you is people doing your job that know how to use AI will most likely replace you. So it's then how am I using it to my advantage? But then we're seeing new jobs also coming out of this AI phenomenon. So we've got AI ethics officers, we've got roles for governance, we've got a lot of roles for data scientists, for machine learning engineers, for AI engineers, even for prompt engineers. Prompt engineering is a skill, and people are paying for it. So we're seeing new roles come out of this. So I agree. There will be people that lose their jobs. But then I expect that to be other jobs to be created.
So
it's not that people will lose their jobs. It's because some jobs will become redundant.
Yes.
As new jobs emerge.
Techies love to say this. When it's true in a lot of cases that, I can see how it's someone who can prompt engineer better than you that could take the job from you, as opposed to the AI agent taking the work. But that's in some cases. Then I think about things like if I'm an artist, I am now competing with AI music for streams on Spotify and YouTube and Apple Music and wherever. Suddenly, my piece of the pie just left. If I am a graphic designer, now one prompt and someone does the work that I used to do in a day. I could make more songs, but that will if I'm making music, I could make an album. That will take me 3 months.
Yes.
And
it's the nature of things.
It's AI slow
Mariam,
versus people.
there used to be ironsmiths. Okay? Somebody who sits somewhere with a thing, blowing thing and molding iron to make a hammer. Right? Did they lose their jobs?
Actually,
when industrialization started, and now we went into factories, the industrial revolution, there are jobs that just...
the good ones probably transitioned into learning how to work with whatever technology came.
So the name
but this is just the same as
it's the same.
AI making a song.
The name
how am I collaborating with
the
AI?
The name Ironsmith changed from a guy who sits there with fire to now somebody who works on a machine to create iron, right? Their job was transformed. So that guy's position out there in the street became redundant, and a new position inside the factory was created. I see the same thing with the entire advancement of technology.
With art specifically.
Right, with art as well. Now, if the market wants to, something that they consider better sounding and all, then the better sounding things become more in sync. Same way, you have nowadays people who are graphic designing things on a computer. He actually is not painting anything. Goes, clicks, puts paint. Clicks, puts color. Clicks, Did that person replace the person who used to design by sitting down and just... No,
because you require actual skill to even still be used. Like these things like a Wacom and whatever, you still require actual skill.
But that skill is not a brush. Go and give our graphic designer here a brush today and a piece of paper and tell him make us a poster for Laolu to come tomorrow on the show.
The fact that I can prompt, I can feed my voice to AI or not, and say, you know what, write me a song about being in studio with fixers, and it puts the song. And then that song goes out there and people have no idea it's AI generated. And then I put out my actual music, because for every 3 tracks that AI puts out, I can only put out one.
You can't outpace it.
I know you get what I'm saying. I know you understand what I am saying. I'm not anti-technology.
I do.
I am anti-AI in art and basic human things. But
I guess that's why we also have so recently, I think Spotify actually chucked off a lot of AI generated stuff. So it's something that is ongoing. I think a lot of people are aware of that. It's important that we safeguard intellectual property. And we manage these things carefully.
If we're going to protect and safeguard those jobs, and I'm going back now to the essential skill that AI is becoming, that for you to survive and, be guaranteed of your place in the workplace, it then means even our kids ought to start learning AI from the youngest of ages, for them to grow up with it and fully understand, because then that's the world that they live in right now. How do we create ethical programs for kids, then that doesn't expose them to the extremes of what AI, because AI comes with no filter. It will come and just drop everything on you. But again, the kids need to learn about it. How do we then approach the young ones?
Important one. So I was at an event last week Friday, and someone was telling me how she had traveled, and she left the 5-year-old kid with a maid, and the kid had an assignment to do, and basically just took a picture, used an AI tool to take a picture, and actually basically did our assignment. And I guess the main thing is, what sort of tools are we exposing people to? Because most of the tools that come from proper organizations actually go through all of that. So they've built in safety, ethics into those tools. So it's more of what sort of tools are we exposing them to, and ensuring that they are the right tools. But I guess it's important for people to experiment. But as a parent, you probably want to stay close to see what your kid is doing also. Because it's...
and those guardrails that you had mentioned earlier become even more important when you're dealing with a minor.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Is that something for legislation to take care of, or for parenting?
I think it's something that also goes into legislation. Because when we think about our kids and we think about safety, AI can actually do all sorts. It's like having something with no filter, and a kid can't say anything. Kids are very honest and expressive, and they just ask things. So you don't want something that is guiding you to do harm to yourself or do things that would sort of harm other people. So that's something we need to think about when we look at how we legislate AI.
Legislation will always be behind. You'll be trying to catch up. The challenge is whether people agree whether now it's time to legislate on something. Look at how long it has taken for some countries to start legislating on use of social media for minors. It's taken many years. Some could argue a lot of harm has happened in that time, in that period.
True.
Okay? So should we be concerned more about, legislation for AI? We think about something, we create a law for it, or should we just allow this thing to happen? And then we see now, how do we put in guardrails against it?
Okay, so we don't want to regulate AI out of Kenya. We want to regulate trust into AI. Kenya is known as the Silicon Savannah, and that's one of the things that every Kenyan is proud of, is our ingenuity and the innovation. It's an innovation hub. But then it's important to ensure that you've got legislation. As you rightly said, people can use AI to do whatever they want to do. I guess the question is more of, are we putting in legislation that doesn't inhibit innovation? You get. So when you look at the new bill, there are penalties for different issues around developing high-risk systems or unacceptable systems. The concern there is there's a penalty of about, I think it's 5 years. There's a 5 million Kenyan shillings penalty, and then there's a maximum of 2 years in jail. But what you want to do is make sure that is properly apportioned. So what is 5 million to a global company? 5 million shillings, you get, huh? But then when you also look at it on the other side, what is 5 million to a developer in Kiambu County trying to build stuff? And so we just need to make sure that the bills that we're putting in place and legislation actually helps us drive innovation.
Okay. With Agentic AI, I'm going to go a bit philosophical. Do we run a risk of just ceding our lives to AI? And there's a fixer here who said, Bakari Sagna is asking, will banks accept client loan applications that are created with the help of AI? So this is a world where I'm applying for a loan, I use AI for my application. The bank wants to assess me for the loan, they use AI to assess me.
Okay.
I'm applying for a job, I use AI to create my CV. HR uses AI to weed out my CV.
Who does the job?
No, wait.
Who gets the job?
You and the AI. Because you're going to use the AI to work.
I'm going to use the AI to work, for sure. Like, at what point are we just ceding humanity to AI?
And creating a superhuman.
Because at no point will someone come in, will I be like, I wonder, what could make this loan application better, I could do that, but it's more likely that I'll just let Agentic AI give it some parameters and be like, do the job. Cool.
Yeah.
The other person says, the other person gives their AI parameters and it says, okay, no loan or yes loan or no job. So,
okay, so I wouldn't say that's where we are. And that's why I keep going back to that bit of, if I open my house to you and you rob me, who am I blaming? You get, if I employ you and I give you access to everything, who's going to be blamed? I think you want to, so the way I would look at it is you start from a use case perspective. What are the simple use cases that are not complicated, that are not complex, that we can actually push through? So what are the simple things we can get the agent to do end to end? What are the things we need to do where there's some decision involved? And how do we ensure that we build that into what we're deploying? I don't think you're going to get to the point of, yes, you can do your application and even your CV today using AI. And I know in the back end, some organizations use AI to actually check what you have in the CV against a defined criteria.
yes.
But then there's still some additional steps that happen after. So you'll probably be called for a test or an interview or the likes. And it's basically doing what, I would say the routine things human beings would have done. So let's say my job is to check, did you study BCom? Did you finish with a first class or a second class? Have you worked somewhere for 1 or 2 years? You just build those things and check it. So it's not different from what someone would have done manually. But then when it comes to judgment calls, you cannot delegate the judgment calls and you cannot outsource it. You still have to make those judgment calls. Yeah.
At some point. Or maybe in future, even those will delegate. Look, I'm looking at it from a positive side.
Yeah.
What does it help if humanity is able to create a machine that helps to, do many of these things? You see, if this thing lands me well enough,
Yes.
and it can then predict, Eric, around March, we'll need this and the other, around June, we'll need this, and starts doing those things on my behalf, that frees a lot of time and thinking for me. What can I then use that time to do? Maybe I'll get into creating something else, or maybe I'll become, just vegetative and bed rot. Either way,
Eric,
it's benefits.
Eric, there's a good career path for you here. The people we call AI product designers and developers. You make a good point, because one of the things you see when you look at agents is what we call a feedback loop. So a feedback loop is saying, based on the things we've done, the agent is actually learning, and it can learn over time that, okay, now I'm more comfortable with the next category of loans. You don't have to be involved. So you build in that feedback loop, you give it feedback, you learn from it, and that keeps it's a continuous process.
It's a continuous one.
Yeah, that's
It's
a
a
good
positive
point.
thing.
It's a good
The age
point.
of the Renaissance was as a result of the Industrial Revolution and all those kind of things. It's because people are now freed from
To do art.
stepping out there every morning and going to Lima and trying to do
You've
the
lifted it
blacksmith.
from them.
And they had time to
They had time now to start imagining. Maybe those are the positives.
Yeah, we're more likely to bed rot though.
We will just be there
Not
doom
to create
scrolling.
art or anything. Can you
scrolling.
imagine?
You're like,
You no
as
longer
we-
even be scrolling. The thing knows what you need.
It's just like
scrolls.
Here's a
Actually, yes,
video
it
for
scrolls. You scroll with your mind, which
as
is
we
actually
wrap
happening.
up, I have just one final question on personal safety. We are a bit too casual with our information, with what we feed into AI. What are the precautions, or we should be putting out there saying this information you shouldn't be feeding into AI, this one you should, because then it starts with us, because then that is what feeds into the language models, correct?
You raise a good point, huh? And it's not just from an individual perspective. We're also seeing people feeding in company information. Into AI.
Hi, Chatty. I work at Nation Media Group as job group 1.
No, you upload an entire
Contracts,
We're having this conversation last week, and I'm saying that because when I think about it, I think it's the way you look at social media. Just think, whatever I put into this thing, if it's out there, how will I feel about it? Yeah. And it's the same thing we're seeing with organizations. So people are just looking for shortcuts to do things. If I have a sensitive document that has been handed over to me in an organization, and it's just for you only to see, or maybe just for you and your boss, please don't feed it into AI. Because it's almost like I've just shared this with everybody. So you're trying to simplify things.
Hi, Chatty.
Don't feed it into...
Hi, Chatty. Please summarize this national security contract for me.
Exactly. So don't feed it into unauthorized tools. You would have approved authorized tools within your organization that you can use for that. Because once you do that with an unauthorized tool, if you get into trouble, you have yourself to blame.
Yeah. It is. Wow.
I like that the social media analogy is a really good one. Yeah. How would you feel if that was on social media? If this thing was on social media, it's a good guardrail.
We put everything.
Worker at a marriage certificate.
Everything goes.
Data.
Safe and ethical use of artificial intelligence. I mean, AI is something that many people do not understand, but maybe just because we think about it, we think from the one end to the very extreme.
Yeah.
The thing is driving a car on its own. That's AI. But then you're actually not thinking about just that thing that you're chatting with on somebody's platform. That's also AI. Laolu Akindele is a tech consultant, works at PwC, and that's what they do on a daily basis, looking at safe and ethical use of AI and technology. He's been our guest. In the next hour, we have a health conversation. What is vaginismus?
Yeah.
Right. What is it? Does our health system actually know what that is? What are we people? Does our health system understand it? Our guest is coming up next.